She went to bed as just another farmer and woke up with thousands of strangers watching her every move. Laura Farms didn't grow slowly or quietly. It exploded overnight, and nothing about her life stayed private after that. What started as simple farm videos quickly turned into one of the most talked about channels in agriculture, bringing massive success, nonstop scrutiny, and rumors no one saw coming. Behind the tractors, land deals, and viral moments is a story most viewers never hear: the pressure, the backlash, and the unexpected consequences of internet fame. And once you hear what really happened, you'll never look at Laura Farms the same way again. Laura's story didn't build slowly over years the way most YouTube channels do. It hit all at once. In 2020, she started uploading simple videos about daily farm life in Nebraska. No flashy edits, no scripted drama, just real work in the fields. At first, almost nobody was watching. Then something strange happened. One video caught traction, the algorithm kicked in, and overnight, her channel exploded. Laura has shared that she went to sleep with almost no subscribers and woke up to thousands. For a niche like farming, that kind of jump was almost unheard of. People weren't just clicking out of curiosity, they stayed. Viewers who had never stepped foot on a farm were suddenly watching full planting days, long hours in tractors, and honest explanations of what modern farming actually looks like. At the same time, farmers recognized something rare. She wasn't pretending to know everything. She showed mistakes, learning moments, and stress without polishing it for the camera. That authenticity became her edge. But it also meant her real life was now public. Comments poured in, expectations formed instantly, and as the views climbed higher, the pressure followed right behind. Because when success comes this fast, you don't get time to adjust. And that was only the beginning of what Laura Farms was about to deal with. What surprised people most was how unfiltered Laura Farms felt compared to everything else online. There was no dramatic background music, no over-the-top storytelling, and no attempt to glamorize the work. Laura was farming in Nebraska, dealing with corn and soybeans, irrigation pivots, weather stress, and long days that started before sunrise. The videos weren't built to impress. They were built to document, and that made them addictive. Instead of acting like a polished expert, Laura leaned into learning as she went. She explained what she was doing in plain language, admitted when she wasn't sure, and showed the parts of farming that usually get skipped. Breakdowns, delays, frustration, and exhaustion stayed in the edits. For viewers outside agriculture, it felt like getting access to a world they were never supposed to see. For people inside it, the struggle felt familiar. But that honesty also blurred lines. The audience didn't just feel informed, they felt involved. Viewers began forming opinions on her decisions, her equipment, and her future. What started as documentation slowly turned into expectation. And once people feel invested, they don't just watch anymore. They judge, they speculate, and they assume they know what's best. That shift, from observer to critic, changed everything for Laura Farms, and it set the stage for what came next. The real cheat code behind Laura Farms wasn't luck. It was how she mixed massive machinery with learning in public. Big farm equipment already grabs attention, but Laura didn't just show it running. She explained why things were happening, what could go wrong, and what she was still figuring out herself. Instead of talking down to viewers, she brought them along for the process. That made every video feel like progress, not repetition. The camera became part of the job. Planting, harvesting, fixing breakdowns, planning the next move. It was all content, but it never felt staged. Viewers weren't waiting for drama. They were waiting to see what decision she'd make next. Which field? Which machine? Which problem would pop up today? That constant forward motion kept people watching longer than expected. And the algorithm noticed. Longer watch times pushed her videos further, bringing in audiences far outside farming. Suddenly, people who had never cared about agriculture were binge-watching pivot irrigation and yield talk. But that kind of growth changes the stakes. When views turn into income, and content turns into a brand, every choice starts to feel heavier. Because now, mistakes aren't just personal, they're public. And once your job becomes entertainment, the pressure to keep delivering never really shuts off. As the channel grew, the conversation slowly shifted from what Laura was doing to how she was paying for it. Farming already comes with massive costs, and once YouTube income entered the picture, people started connecting dots, sometimes correctly, sometimes wildly off. When Laura talked openly about renting land, upgrading equipment, and eventually buying acreage, it didn't just feel like progress. Online, it felt like a scoreboard. One announcement in particular caught attention: buying land. For many viewers, that moment symbolized success. For others, it triggered instant skepticism. Comments rolled in questioning timing, money sources, and whether YouTube was changing the game unfairly. The same transparency that built trust now invited scrutiny. Every purchase was dissected, every upgrade was compared, and suddenly her finances became public debate. What most people missed was the risk behind those moves. Farming isn't guaranteed income, and online revenue isn't stable. Either one bad season or algorithm shift can change everything. But on the internet, nuance doesn't travel far. Success looks simple when you only see the highlights. That pressure quietly reshaped the channel. Because when thousands of people are watching your investments, every decision feels permanent. And the bigger the milestones became, the louder the opinions got. And that reaction would soon turn from curiosity into something much harder to control. With bigger numbers came a different kind of attention, one that wasn't supportive or curious, but suspicious. As Laura Farms kept growing, a wave of backlash followed right behind it. Some viewers started labeling her an influencer farmer, questioning whether the work was real or just content. Others picked apart sponsorships, assuming every video had a hidden agenda. The tone in the comments shifted from interest to accusation. What made it worse was how quickly narratives formed. A single clip could spark weeks of debate. People who had never farmed began explaining how things should be done. Longtime viewers split into sides. And once criticism takes root online, it feeds itself. Algorithms don't care if attention is positive or negative, only that people keep watching. Laura never positioned herself as perfect, but the internet held her to that standard anyway. Any mistake was magnified. Any change in tone was proof something had shifted. And silence? That was treated like confirmation. The channel wasn't just being watched anymore, it was being analyzed. This is the dark side of fast success. You don't just gain an audience, you inherit their expectations. And once people feel entitled to explanations, stepping back becomes nearly impossible. But the backlash wasn't the most dangerous part. What came next crossed a line that had nothing to do with comments. As the backlash grew, rumors started filling in the gaps where real information didn't exist. Online speculation has a way of snowballing, and Laura Farms wasn't immune to it. Small changes, posting less, focusing on work, keeping certain moments private, were twisted into full-blown theories. Some viewers claimed something was wrong. Others confidently acted like they knew details of her personal life, even though nothing had actually been confirmed. The most unsettling part was how quickly unverified talk spread. Comment sections, forums, and short-form clips began repeating the same claims until they sounded believable. But repetition doesn't equal truth. Much of the gossip had no source, no evidence, just assumptions layered on top of each other. And once rumors gain traction online, correcting them becomes nearly impossible. Silence is taken as guilt, while speaking up only adds fuel. For Laura, this created a no-win situation. Addressing speculation risks, amplifying it, ignoring it lets it grow unchecked. And while viewers moved on to the next theory, she still had a farm to run and a real life to protect. But the strangest twist wasn't the rumors themselves. It was how those rumors opened the door for something far more serious. People pretending to be her, exploiting her name, and putting her audience at risk. At a certain level of fame, the problem stops being opinions and starts becoming safety. As Laura Farms grew, fake accounts began popping up across platforms, profiles using her name, her photos, even clips from her videos. To an average viewer, they looked real. And that's exactly why they were dangerous. Some impersonators messaged fans directly, while others pushed shady links or giveaways that had nothing to do with Laura at all. She eventually had to warn her audience publicly that these accounts weren't her. But by then, the damage was already happening. Supportive viewers were being targeted simply for trusting a familiar face. What started as farming content had turned into a constant game of defense, reporting profiles, blocking scammers, and trying to stay one step ahead of people abusing her identity. This is the side of internet fame almost nobody talks about. There's no off switch. Even when the camera's off, the name keeps circulating. And unlike rumors, impersonation creates real-world consequences for real people. For Laura, it added a layer of responsibility she never signed up for. She wasn't just protecting her brand anymore, she was protecting her audience. And once things reach that point, you realize something important changed. The farm didn't just grow crops anymore, it grew a spotlight that never fully turns off. Laura Farms started as a simple window into real farm life, but that window turned into a spotlight faster than anyone expected. Overnight success brought opportunity, pressure, rumors, and risks that had nothing to do with planting or harvest. What viewers saw as entertainment became real decisions with real consequences. And while the tractors kept moving and the fields still needed work, the internet never stopped watching. Laura's story isn't just about farming, it's about what happens when an ordinary life becomes public property. And it raises a bigger question. When the camera changes everything, can anything ever truly stay normal again?